Hello, athletes. I am Debbie Potts, and I wanted to do a podcast today on a Monday to talk about how to match your fueling and training. What do you do if you're not doing as much exercise as I do on Mondays? Plus, my master's swimming program is canceled this week because they're redoing the roof at the building and they can't have the pool open outside at the same time. So I need to eat less because I'm just walking up and down stairs and moving throughout the day, but I'm not doing a lot of cardio as I often do a run workout and a swim workout. But today, Monday, is usually my active recovery day. And you need to take note of how you are eating, fueling, and training, and you need to match that. So if I'm doing a higher intensity workout, I can time my good source of quality nature's carbs, like some fruits and starchy vegetables, on those workouts if it's appropriate. Now, if I'm doing a low cardio, zone 1 maffetone type of training workout, I'm burning mostly fat for fuel in that workout. I don't need to eat a lot of carbohydrates that day. If I'm a female athlete, as I am, and I have cycle days 20 to 28, I'm going to not eat as much ketogenic diet type of foods, and I'm going to add in a little bit more progesterone building hormone foods, as Dr. Mindy Pels talks about in my recent podcast. So we need to look at the male athlete training schedule, females, perimenopausal, postmenopausal, a little different, and premenopausal. So if you have hormones, females or cycling hormones are going to be different throughout the month. And our training, our strength training, our HIIT training intervals, our fasted workouts, we're going to time that a little differently based on your day of the month. Postmenopausal woman, it's a little bit easier, less complicated than the cycling woman. And you're going to be more similar to a man's schedule. Now, female athletes, we don't want to fast all the time. There's certain days of the month that are better to do longer fasts for females, and then fasted exercise. It also depends on the type of workout and duration. So do you eat before? Is just having some calories of fat as MCT oil and collagen peptides in my coffee or tea, is that good enough? So it all depends. So I'm trying to put together a podcast for you to go over how to match your fueling and your training with the month, with the season, with your place of your workouts. If you're doing a deload week, if you're doing a build week, if you're doing more intensity, we really need to not eat the same way every day as an athlete. So let me share my screen if you're watching the video. And here's some information on my blog I'm trying to put together, debbiepotts.net, tips to matching your fueling and training. It's complicated out there. So I'm trying to go through all these blog posts and research articles on what is best for the endurance athlete. We're probably doing more 80% if you're a low carb athlete, you're fat adapted. Your training should probably be more 80% low heart rate and 20% doing HIIT training. So if you're looking at your schedule, if I'm training you on Training Peaks, we're looking at your fueling on Practice Better chronometer, looking at your macros, but we're going to adjust that based on the workout that day. A lot of people are eating too much and too much sugar, too many calories, and not enough protein. And then timing your protein is really important. So head to my blog post, Creating Personalized Fueling and Training Program for the Endurance Athlete. I'm trying to put together different blogs. But what I do with people when I'm working initially is looking at your ancestry background. Look at your genetics. Let's do functional lab testing. We do metabolic typing, nutritional therapy assessment, a 3-day food log, matching your symptoms, how you feel, your energy, your motility, and your exercise. And then I'm looking at your heart rate variability. I'm looking at your training schedule and nutrition logs. And I do this more in my comprehensive VIP packages. But if you are just want my accelerated program, we're doing the lab testing, kind of helping looking at all this overall to collect clues to create a personalized program. And then looking at when is it appropriate for you to do a fasted exercise? How was your workouts the day before? How was your sleep? How long was your fast overnight? So suggested for athletes 12 to 15 hours from dinner to breakfast. If you need to eat a little something before workout, when is it important to eat right after your workout if you're doing a 2-a-day? So it gets complicated, and I'm trying to read all the research, look at Rhonda Patrick. I have her membership to her group program, so you can get all her research articles listed. So it's really confusing because there is, I think, not a one size fits all approach. So we have to look at each person individually. So some articles I wanted to share: keto, carnivore, paleo, vegan, or what is there for you to eat? What should you eat? You look at plants and plant toxins, it makes you not want to eat any vegetables. So what to eat if you can't eat a steak and go for a run? Maybe it's easier to do a fasted workout and eat afterwards. So it depends on the time of day. If I'm working out later in the day, timing my meal, as I just ate lunch, I had grilled chicken over coleslaw with some olive oil and some raw cheese on there and some sea salt, of course. So I can't eat and work out. So I have to time when I'm eating my meal, ideally when you're hungry, and then say it's, 3 hours before I go work out. So I'm going to go lift leg workout tonight. I can't eat beforehand, and I don't eat 3 hours before bed. So I need to stop eating about 4 o'clock for me. And then when appropriate, have some bone broth if I'm hungry. So here's some articles on this blog. I'm trying to link all together so I can find them in one spot. So just to go through what insulin does, it antagonizes the breakdown of fatty acids lipolysis for use of energy, or in a low carb setting blunts ketogenesis. Insulin secretion can be triggered in a few short minutes once the pancreatic cells sense a rise in blood glucose or the amino acids from proteins. Insulin, once produced by the pancreas, continues in the blood for around an hour with a small half-life through clearance via the liver and kidneys. Generally, keto lifestylers are well aware of the effects of spiking blood sugars and insulin secretion. However, you may not be as aware of some proteins can stimulate insulin secretion. So when some high proteins like fish, eggs, collagen are less stimulatory in insulin, whey protein does have a stronger insulin action. So this is a great example of timing what we eat. When did you work out? Is it appropriate to have that whey protein? And is it appropriate to have, say, berries and a banana, as everyone seems to throw in their smoothies? And look at testing your glucose as with Keto Mojo, so you're not spiking your blood sugar levels more than 30. I mean, they might go up. You don't want to spike your glucose up over 120. Some people say highest is 130. So it should only come up 30 from your fasting glucose, which should be around 70 to 90 to start. So if you're at, say, 90 is your glucose, kind of where you stay around, you go up to 120. So it's kind of what the functional medicine guidelines are for finding your glucose. So testing and not guessing, I say all the time, but there's a reason for it. So again, with this information from S Fuels, 3 key nutrients of whey protein isolate: little to no increase little to no lactose. I have my blue blockers on, not my reading glasses. So if I say things wrong, I am blocking the blue light, but I can't see anything. I need my readers on as well. So beta hydroxybutyrate, BHB ketones, and glutamine provide a comprehensive foundation to the active lifestyler and athlete looking to build and maintain muscle mass, recovery rapidly from workouts while minimizing sugar triggered blunting of ketogenesis and fat oxidation. So look on S Fuels. I love S Fuels, and I love the people behind there. Leighton Phillips and Nicole are amazing. So check out their blog. What top of mind at S Fuels shakes is a blog post on something I was just curious about is, what to eat when and how we want to not activate insulin and have it the right amount of food to keep it down. And when is it appropriate to eat and not eat? So testing and not guessing your glucose from meals would be important. Also, not to chase ketones, because you'll see for athletes, if you measure your glucose and ketones, everything for athletes, we tend to be higher in the morning. Well, everyone is, because cortisol should be up higher if you have a ideal optimal circadian rhythm of cortisol versus melatonin through the day to wake you up, get you going. Cortisol should be up. And then it should be down at night when you're trying to chill out and get to sleep. But often we get all out of whack because of stress accumulates. Chronic stress, as you know, increases your dysregulation of your hormones, and your cortisol rhythm will get wacky. And so we want to identify that before it gets worse. But we want to test your ketones and your hormones, ideally, all this information all the time. But I think a good point is not to chase ketones in for athletes. You know, if you have health issues, metabolic damage, different story, but I'm talking to you, trying to clarify all this information for you, the endurance athlete. And hopefully you are fat adapted, metabolically flexible, so you are not stuck in ketosis all the time. You do have good fat metabolism and you have good carb metabolism. So you're able to switch between those two engines as needed. So there's important reason we'll get to this show or future shows on cyclical ketogenic diet and have that keto flex and having that non-keto day, especially for women during late luteal phase, non-keto week, and that's your deload week, and why we want to add in quality carbs, not crappy carbs at certain times. Not all carbs are equal. And it's when we say add carbs in and low carb, it means nutrient dense quality food carbs that especially are beneficial to your microbiome. So let's look at this article I found on Keto Mojo with Thomas DeLauer on exercising. So what happens to our body when we're working out? So Thomas DeLauer did a video on this for Keto Mojo. What's happening to you when you're working out? Your body will start utilizing ketones. But if you're working out with a lot of intensity, so higher heart rate, your body has no choice but to try utilizing carbohydrates for your main fuel source. So if you're not eating carbs, you wonder, oh, why is this happening? You know, my glucose is going up. What's going on? I'm being so good. I'm not eating carbs. Well, you're burning carbohydrates stored in muscle glycogen. So we need not to freak out when our glucose goes higher from our exercise. You're not going to be out of fat burning. You're just fueling for that workout when appropriate, right? So we're good on that. So yeah, Thomas DeLauer says in this article, this video you probably find on YouTube, well, your body has a really interesting pathway. He says it's gluconeogenesis. So I say that way, the words gluconeogenesis, but just remember gluconeogenesis, making new glucose, where it could actually take your existing proteins that are inside your body and convert them into sugar, because certain activities require carbs no matter what. So if I'm doing all out sprint up a hill, my heart rate's 160, 170, I'm burning mostly carbohydrates. So if you're doing that over and over again, you start to deplete your carbohydrate storage. So the article again says what will end up happening is after the workout, you'll test your ketone levels. You might find they're a little bit lower than when they were before. You might panic at first, but you want to understand that this is normal response and your ketone levels are going to stabilize within another hour or so. So by testing immediately after a workout, you can give yourself a good idea of whether you're working out a little bit too hard for ketosis, or if you're really pushing it a little bit too far, or allowing your body to start utilizing those carbs a bit too much. I think if I'm doing speed work, I want to make sure I'm going hard enough and I'm going all out and making it a good, strong, beneficial workout. So you should have those numbers drop, because if you were actually doing real speed work, you're not burning fat. You are in carb metabolism. So you should be depleting the carb glycogen storage tank and not burning fat, or else you need to go harder. So testing right afterwards, they might be dropping, but go back and test an hour or 2 hours later, as I do with my BioSense breath test. I'll test in the morning, it's like 4 or 5, but sometimes if I go test in the afternoon, it's been a 17 or 22, sometimes just a 10, but I know I'm still burning fat for fuel. It's just lower in the morning because I'm probably not as deep as showing ketones as much. So I'm okay with that. I'm trying to get fit and faster, so it's no big deal. So what is the optimal ketone level after workout? Thomas DeLauer says with Keto Mojo that you don't want your ketone levels to change that much after a workout. At very most, you might want to see them move around 0.5 millimoles, not too much. If they start moving more than that, you either need to tone down your workout a little bit or increase your fat intake prior to a workout. One other time that you are going to want to test is a couple hours after your workout to make sure your body is stabilizing. If your ketones level are staying lower for hours after your workout, you definitely need to reevaluate how many calories you're consuming. You may want to go back. Drawing board is a little bit to increase your calories, a broader look at your overall macros. So with that, I'll say a lot of people don't eat enough calories of the right foods, or they eat too much. So it's so individualized. I would look at your heart rate and your heart rate variability that next night, see if you recovered from that workout as well, if you overtrained. And this is where we want to look at your training schedule, because you want to go hard. And the next 2 days should be easier days. Younger people, you might be able to do 24-hour recovery. But I think for us aging athletes, after your 40s, your 50, you might want to do a hard workout, then 2 low zone 1-2 maffetone workouts, max aerobic function heart rate, the next 2 days, and then go hard again on that day 4. So endurance athletes, let's look at what he says for endurance athletes. Now, if you're an endurance athlete, things might be a little different. You see whether you're working out endurance capacity, you're using the aerobic energy system. Now, aerobic energy system combines oxygens with fats. So you think about it, it's perfect for ketosis, nutritional ketosis. We have plenty of fats and ketones flowing around through the body. The unfortunate thing is normally when you first look at this, you're going to have to keep your intensity nice and low. So Coach Debbie speaking, not reading the article, but this is why we do, for 20 years, I've spoke about Phil Maffetone's formula, max aerobic function heart rate, 180 minus your age, plus or minus 5, or if I could do everybody's metabolic efficiency test to figure out where your metabolic crossover point is, where your training zones to become more metabolically efficient fat burning athlete. That's where we train about. If you don't know zone 1, zone 2, you can figure that out with that formula, or just kind of where can I stay forever and feel comfortable. It's way slower than you think, or not slower, but lower heart rate. Then you get faster. So back to Thomas DeLauer and endurance athletes is that metabolic edge. When we're on ketogenic diet, we can slowly increase how much output, even on ketogenic diet, a little bit each time you work out. So you can say you're doing 50% effort on 1 hour cycling at baseline. You could start to increase over a week when you're in ketosis and get to a point where you're 75% total exertion for a full hour. So that he calls it metabolic edge is, getting that fat, low intensity fat burning intensity. So if you look at our tons of podcasts in the past 10 years with Phil Maffetone talking about MAF training, MAF, it is increasing that metabolic efficiency. So you're getting faster and faster at, say, 130 heart rate. Your speed keeps getting faster. And that's why we do, ideally, if you're starting out, I don't do this often, someone just asked me this, but if you're starting out, do a test once a month. And then when you're not improving, say after 3 months, then you can start adding speed work. So let's go to some other articles I found. When should you eat or not eat before a workout? I think it depends on the intensity, the duration, and plus if you're a female athlete, what time of your menstrual cycle you're on, your hormones, you may perform better and actually burn more fat, according to Stacy Sims, if you female athletes eat a little something beforehand. So I've been experimenting having some calories in my coffee with Laird's coffee creamer and adding sometimes the Bubs MCT oil powder and Bubs collagen peptides. So I'm getting calories. I'm not truly fasted, but I'm still able to burn fat. I'm not kicking myself out of, if you care about nutritional ketosis, it's not kicking me out of fat burning. It's kicking me out of fat burning if I spike glucose that I activate insulin. Then I'm not in that fat oxidation phase, right? So when should you eat and what should you eat and why before a workout is a good conversation. So Another article found your body doesn't need carbs to perform on a keto diet. Your body doesn't need any pre-workout food or even keto-friendly sports drink in order to maintain stamina. You can work out on an empty stomach, and that's true for every type of body composition. Now, where did I get this article? This is a long article you can read, what to eat after workout. They talk about, having the proteins and not being afraid of that. But that was an article on fitness, what to eat before and after keto diet. Now, I think the information we read is for male athletes. Females, we're not usually what the research is done on. So we have to adapt a little bit differently. So if we go back to the beginning of this article, yes, if you are fat adapted, you can often just not eat anything before a workout if it's a low intensity workout. If you ate dinner the night before and it's 12 to 15 hours later, you probably have enough fuel still stored in your glycogen stores. If you had some good nature's carbs with your evening meal, you probably don't need to eat before that workout if it's a higher intensity. For a man, now, if you are female, as you said, you might add a little bit of calories, if it's 20 calories, into your coffee or tea, so your body doesn't feel like it's having another source of stress coming in by doing a fasted workout. So Dr. Stacy Sims, I'm trying to get the research on this, but says a little bit of carb burning first before we kick into fat burning, and women are more efficient at burning fat for our workouts. That's why we can probably go longer and burn more fat longer than men, maybe, I think. And this way we can just have a little bit of calories, but we can go longer burning fat versus men maybe can go faster, but maybe they need something more later. I don't know. Depends. I just observe from people I work out with and how long the workout. If we go for a 4-hour bike ride, I don't need to eat as much as they do. And it depends on the athlete and gender and what heart rate they're training at and where your metabolic crossover point is. So this article also talks about post-workout, having your protein. Before exercise, you can do amino acids. I'm not going to eat a protein myself before workout, but taking some Kion aminos or some Hammer Nutrition is branched chain amino acids. But we really want to look at the essential amino acids. And I need to do a podcast again on essential aminos because there's so much information to cover on that. But really looking at all this information on pre-workout, getting some aminos, maybe put creatine, 5 grams. I've just got some Cynthia Thurlow creatine I put in my tea and some collagen peptides and some aminos. I can't do Kion aminos, sadly, right now. My body doesn't like stevia. It gives me a headache. So I'm trying to just do the capsules. So pre-workout, I would do that. And then post-workout, have some protein and fat. Now, do you add carbs in that post-workout meal? It depends if you did a higher intensity workout and if you are working out another session during that day. Remember, I said this previous podcast, Ben Greenfield tells us, if you're doing a 2-a-day workout, you want to eat after that first workout to prepare for that second workout. If it's in another 8 hours, then you can place a little bit of nature's carbs in there. So what to eat after the workout, I think keto, I like this point they've said in this article, Keto Mojo, that nutritional ketosis, when it started, was based on research for children with epilepsy. And then I know we've gotten to cancer and other therapeutic benefits for illnesses that involve the benefits of nutritional ketosis for the brain health. Now, this wasn't originally designed for athletes. So that's why you have to remember the recommendations are based on people with metabolic diseases, metabolic dysfunction. So we want to look at, my post-workout to stay nutritional ketosis, I really need to prioritize protein. You'll hear that everywhere nowadays, that you're getting your 20 to 50 grams of protein spread out 3 meals a day, or 1 gram per pound of body weight is a higher end, and having that spread out, because you can't just take, Peter Attia just did a blog podcast on this, but instead of having 150 grams of protein a day, you want it, say 50 grams throughout the day, or maybe it's 40 grams, and you're doing essential aminos, supplements, and then you're doing collagen peptides, and then you're getting in some bone broth, stuff like that. So we want to have some protein and healthy fat post workout when you are starting to feel hungry. So wait, I think, until you're a little hungry. So going back to what I said beginning of the show today, matching your fueling on workout, non-workout days. And As Fuels had a great blog I put into this article here today to talk about, what type of shake, if you're going to have a shake, and what your meals look like on your recovery days should be completely different macros than your heavy workout days, your high intensity, your speed workout. Like Tuesday nights, we have track workout, running, speed workout. So the profile of your meals should be different. So what can you do? Maybe just your food so you're not triggering insulin. So non-insulin triggering protein is collagen peptides or eggs. You can have a creamy shake, ketogenic fats with MCT oils, full dairy, heavy whipping cream you can add in there for some people that can tolerate dairy, or maybe it's coconut cream. Then you're got to watch your calories. If you're doing a 1,500 calorie shake, you got to watch out. You're not just doing a ton of fat, but I do like taking avocado slices. Neil will peel these and freeze and put them in. So you want to look at what you can do to add in some good quality healthy fats and protein, and maybe to keep those carbs lower on your non-workout days. So let me know your thoughts and maybe some suggestions on what you eat and what you can do to get in a good food plan. All right, let's talk to you soon, and I'm back to work.